To think that India's response to the Pulwama terror attacks could color an entire electorate in a national election is to admit total cluelessness about how India really votes. It is to fool yourself about what you're really up against as the opposition. It is to take your eye off the real target. It is to alleviate your sense of what is really ahead of you. If you're going to craft your next steps with the assumption that there's nothing you could have done post Balakot, then you have failed in your duty as an opposition, as the opposition did indeed do in the run-up to 2019. Of course, the BJP has been defeated in some state elections. They're not invulnerable, they're not undefeatable, but I'm talking about the figure of Modi himself. If a Prime Minister enjoys abnormally high popularity ratings a decade into office, amidst what would normally be heavy-duty incumbency headwinds, then there are two possibilities, viewer, and I'm sure you'll agree with me. Both can be true at the same time as well. Number one, that he has been a good administrator, smart with his politics, and delivered admirable governance to the electorate. The second possibility is that no matter what Modi has done, good or bad, the opposition simply hasn't managed to offer an alternative to the figure of Modi. I'm not for a moment suggesting that Modi needs to be taken on by another Modi-like figure and that the opposition has failed to find a face. History has shown that faces aren't always necessary to take on even very popular prime ministers. You know who I'm talking about. But the opposition has been so hypnotically obsessed with the figure and the individual Modi, the personality of Modi, the cult of Modi. It has simply not spent enough time crafting a narrative that provides an alternative vision for India. If you're going to ask the electorate to vote out Modi, it cannot all be negative. It has to be about, okay, if not Modi, then what? It has been so immersed for a decade in attempting to paint Modi as a corrupt crony that the opposition has forgotten the legacy of corruption and crony capitalism that was carved out of independent India by the very opposition parties now pointing those fingers. First it was Rafale, now it's Adani. Those who literally invented Indian crony capitalism and laid the foundation for the overlap of big business with politics are now on the streets crying blue murder. It's not about whether these allegations are true or not. It's about whether these parties are in a position to be taken seriously by the electorate as they point those fingers. I am not for a moment, viewer, suggesting that these allegations cast by the opposition don't merit debate or investigation, and investigations are indeed happening. I'm only saying that the opposition has missed the bigger picture, that utilizing all your machinery to discredit one individual leaves you with precious little bandwidth to paint an enticing picture for your voters. Which is why when you zoom out of the current Indian political battle space, it looks like a scattered bunch of frustrated, out-of-power netas attempting to drag down a very popular leader. The mechanics of democracy mean that elections are your only barometer for success, like it or not. And why not? Since when did elections become such a bad thing? Since when did elections become a bad word? Elections are literally the will of the people, which is why it truly stupefies me that the Congress's next Bharat Nyaya Yatra in 2024 from Manipur to Mumbai is being described by every Congress leader as a yatra that has nothing to do with politics or elections. Nothing to do with politics? Seriously? Since when did politics become an undesirable thing in this country? Since when did elections become something to not target? If you're in politics, elections are your test. It's like an annual exam. Why be so defensive about acting politically towards an approaching election? Surely voters want to know that you are interested in winning an election, that you're interested in being battle ready, that you're focused on actually delivering the goods. Politics is the brain, the liver, the connective issue of every democracy. Or is the opposition openly ceding even election and political space to Modi and the BJP? I know what some of you may be thinking. Shiv is just indulging in another round of opposition bashing. But you viewer know me. You and I know each other. We have a relationship. I don't take sides, and I certainly don't owe allegiance to any party or leader, which is why I remain eternally perplexed over how a large number of seasoned politicians still expend all of their energies trying to dismantle the cult of Modi directly, rather than invest in a vision that can at least begin to give the electorate a second option. This is the third time I've said it in this take, because that is how little of it is actually happening. The India alliance, in my view, is a very, very good thing. It's a very good thing, and I will say that over and over again. It provides a structure for an opposition that has been bogged down, scattered, dispirited, and largely ineffective against the runaway rise of a popular leader like Narendra Modi. The opposition has been so obsessed with the figure of Modi, it has willingly wasted time, resources, and ammunition walking into a litany of traps neatly laid for them by Modi's BJP. Whether it was the Ashoka Alliance on the new parliament building or rumors that India was being renamed Bharat, Modi has demonstrated that the opposition is obsessed with his every move and sees evil in everything he does and sees bad in all around him, and is now just a band of trigger-happy individuals driven by a personal irritation and distaste for the individual Modi rather than the government he leads. And yet, the India alliance is a good thing. It has made a good start. I don't agree with those who believe that the alliance was formed too late, or that it's simply a band of frustrated netas finding common cause against a formidable political monolith like Modi. In fact, I see the formation of the India alliance as perhaps the first sign in a decade that the opposition has acknowledged the challenge and the scale of the challenge in front of it. The first sign that the opposition sees that this is an election where its campaign must pull away from simply being an obsessive interrogation of Modi himself and provide a vision to take to the people. The first sign that the opposition can, for the first time in a decade, stop being reactive and begin to lead the leader, or at least try to set the agenda and lead the leader. But there are already signs that this is wishful thinking, aren't there, viewer? Within days of the India alliance boasting about not having a prime ministerial face, that this lack of a face was in fact what made this fight special, that it had many potential faces to choose from, and then just days later, you had two prominent alliance members propose the name of Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge as a prime ministerial face of the India alliance. I remember thinking, wait, when they said they didn't have a face and had many to choose from, that actually sounded interesting. It was evocative because it did not play into the hands of the BJP. But now, the name of Kharge comes forward. In other words, just when the alliance was beginning to start offering a different vision from the kind of titanic presidential-style battle of personalities that Modi and the BJP obviously relish, the opposition's lack of confidence in that strategy saw these names suddenly start to pop up. Whether it is Kharge, whether it is Mamata, whether it is Nitish Kumar, all of it is now playing out in the open. Even as political pundits see this as a minor masterstroke by the alliance, since Kharge is described as someone who is not as attackable as other heavyweights in the alliance, I imagine Modi must have had a quiet chuckle at this turn of events. It must have come as a source of satisfaction for him. Because there's an old saying, you cannot lose if you do not play. That may be an exaggeration when it comes to elections, because of course you'll lose if you do not play. But by even suggesting the name of Kharge, the India alliance, in my view, has admitted that it is not confident of fighting Modi with an alternate vision, with issues, or with a cohesive chain reaction of micro-elections, rather than an overwhelming national one-to-one head-to-head fight. All things said, democracy needs a big, credible fight. I'm a firm believer in the goodness of elections, the true fist of people power. As a journalist and a citizen, what more can one ask for than a well-fought 2024 election? Ours is a country where all of us frequently think, bahut politics hai. And in many ways, that is actually true. We're frequently embroiled in the fights that arise from the act of politics, frequently bogged down by the he said, she said, the face-offs, the crossfires, what someone said in a rally, how they responded. For 2024, I look forward to democracy. That may sound like a cliche, viewer, but I want you to think about those words when I finish. Because for all the things that happen in this amazing country of ours, as all politicians, especially one, always say, Janata Janardhan hai. Thank you for listening.